Okay, so for the last chart I'm going to show you how to make in R is a line chart. We use line charts to show trends in our data when there's equal intervals. Usually when we're talking about trends, we mean trends over time. So how something is changing over time. Because we don't have any time-based variables in our work stress data file, I'm going to make some trends over time with two new vectors that go together. So the first vector I'm going to make is year, and this stands for the 2000s up to 2009. So 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, all the way up to 2009. And you'll notice in here we have the 2008 financial crisis, which kind of started in 2007 and was really going crazy during 2008, and then still, of course, 2009, and actually quite a bit afterwards as well. So that's our first vector that we'll use. And then I'll make the second vector, which is percentage of people in poverty. And this is the percentage of people in poverty in the United States. These are real values. These are real data. So in 2000 it was 11%, and then it goes up to 15% in 2009. So I'm going to run to make our new vector there. And so the plot function is actually pretty easy. You just tell our plot and you tell it what to plot on the x-axis. So what vector to put on the x-axis, and that's where we put our equally spaced time intervals. And then what vector to plot on the y-axis. So what is it that we're seeing change over time? And in this case, it's the percentage of people in poverty. And so here we can see kind of these little fluctuations over the course of 10 years. So we have the data points, but we don't have a line. We can add some code to make a line by just putting this comma, type, and then adding an L to it, and you have to have the quotes there to get the line. So we have the same thing, but then we added this L to make a line. And you can leave it as a P, that'll do the dots. There's a number of things you can put here. And you can find out what you want by question mark plot, and you have to pick. They actually kind of give you the same information. So I'm going to just click generic XY plotting, and this tells you, oh, it's just making simple scatter plots. And it tells you what arguments it would take. And here are the different types of plots that you can draw. So for type, you can do P for points, L for line, B for both. So if you type it a B there, you'll get both. Let's try that. Oh, it didn't like it because I didn't have the quotes. So fussy R. So tricky. So then there you see you have both the lines and the dots. So it's just personal preference there. There's a couple others that you could use as well. Okay, now a lot of the time in the social sciences, we aren't making our own vectors. I've mentioned this before. We're usually using a data frame. So to show you how to use the same plot function in a when you're calling vectors from a data frame, I'm just going to make a data frame out of these two vectors, this percent poverty and this year vector. So we've done a little bit of this before, and this is mainly just for demonstration purposes. Let's find our data frame. So there it is, and here are our two vectors in data frame format. So now, instead of just setting x equal to your vector, you tell it with this same function that we keep seeing over and over again. You say, look in the data frame poverty time and find the vector year. And then for y, look in poverty time and find the vector percent poverty. So that's how you would do it if you had just a data file that you were using. And so then we have sort of these uglier labels that we could change with the same arguments that we used above. So let's add labels to the graph. We have, I'm switching back to our just regular vectors because we did make these by hand, so we can do it that way. We're setting it equal to L, the type equal to L. Then we're going to name our main title poverty rate between 2000 and 2009 is what it should be. We'll call year our X label, and we'll call our Y label percent in poverty. And there you have it. And you'll notice here my code was, it's stacked now. And the reason why it's stacked is because it was getting really long, just as a long written out piece of code. It doesn't look so bad here, but when you're on a regular sized monitor, then it kind of starts to look a little jumbly. Oddly enough, R doesn't care if you put an enter between the commas. So after a comma, you can just type enter, and then you have the next comma, and you press enter, same here, and same here. So you can just kind of condense your code a little bit to make it look nicer. And it'll run just the same. All right, everyone, that is how you make a line chart. As I mentioned, you don't have the line chart or the need for a line chart in the WorkStress data file. So this is just for if you ever come across your own data, if you're doing a thesis or something that you want to track things over time, then you might want to use a line chart.